All right, what is going on, guys and girls? How's it going? I am Is There No One Else, and the video I'm bringing you today, we are going to cover the Blackrose dual wield changes for the Greymoor PTS. It went through a pretty drastic change, as is the case with all of these gear set reviews. I'm going to go into what it is, what it does, is it worth getting for PvP, and my initial thoughts on how effective it is. So with that being said, let's dive into it. Blackrose dual wield has been very powerful for a while. The instant major protection that you get while casting it, like the minute you start taking pressure, you can pop a vigor and you can just have, if you go on the defensive with Blackrose dual wield, you're very tough to kill. I've dueled a little bit with Blackrose dual wield, and then I switched over to sword and board just to get differences in pressure. And dual wield has always been more like BRP dual wield makes you more tanky in those situations than sword and board does, which is just never really made any sense. Dual wield should be a damage dealing, setup. Sword and board should be stuff that augments your tankiness and support stuff. But dual wield should be more powerful. And so it's always been kind of weird, since it came out. And I've talked about, I like to try and come up with ideas, and I couldn't really come up with a good idea to change Blackrose dual wield without completely gutting it. I just couldn't come up with something. And I think they did a pretty good job of that. I think this is still very powerful. It's just powerful in a completely different way. This is the perfected version. The two-piece gives you stamina recovery like it always has, but now the new two-piece is dealing damage with Blade Cloak, grants you Spectral Cloak for 2 seconds, reducing your damage taken and increasing your damage done by 10%. So no longer do you get major protection just by casting it. You have to be in the vicinity of somebody in order for this to deal damage and then for you to get the proc. So if you guys remember, when you used to cast Blade Cloak, you'd get this green mist, and it would show the proc. It would be like these little green leaves twirling around you. It doesn't do that anymore. And so right now, all I have is normal Blade Cloak. In order for me to get this proc condition, I need to be close to somebody, and then it does damage, and then you see like the green leaves, whatever those are around me. And so now I have the Spectral Cloak buff. I now have 10% damage mitigation and 10% more damage. This is very powerful. It's very powerful in a different way, and I like how they changed it. I think it's fantastic. It's still going to be a powerful set because it's 10%. I mean, we're talking about a 5-piece Essence Thief damage wise on a bar with a 2-piece set. It's going to be very effective with 10% damage mitigation, and it's not minor protection or anything like that. It's just a flat 10%, so it stacks with other things. So you're still going to be tanky with this. I mean, Blade Cloak still gives you major evasion, so you still have major evasion with this. You still have, the one that I'm running right now gives me major expedition, so I have 2 major buffs, and then I have 10% damage mit with 10% more damage done. The interesting thing about this set, and I wanted to show this, but let's wait for the Blade Cloak to go down. I'm using the crossbow just to compare damage. So unbuffed, if I hit a crossbow, you see I do 59, 57. When I get this buff, I do 63, 92. So the 10% buff is actually quite substantial. But what I thought was really interesting is if I put Blade Cloak on and I go over to my other bar, it doesn't transfer. And so you see I no longer get the green mist. So if I want to use this and utilize this damage, it only lasts for 2 seconds. And so it's going to be too short of a window to really like I could proc it on the back bar and then I could go to the front bar and maybe get off an ultimate. But it's such a short window that you're going to have to use your dual wield as your damage dealing bar in order to utilize a set. And so what that means is this is now your front bar. This is no longer a back bar set. This is a front bar set. And so you're going to have to adjust your build, which, is more than fine. There's plenty of good back bar sets out there like Clever Alchemist. If we remove mythics, let's just say mythics don't currently exist in Greymoor, you can run Blackrose dual wield, you can run 5 body pieces, and you can back bar Clever Alchemist. And you have 5/5/2, and you are going to hit so freaking hard with that combination. It's going to be very effective. And so these are just my initial thoughts. So I'm not saying guys, these are my thoughts. My thoughts are subject to change. I'm not saying anything definitively in any of these videos. This is just after testing it. But I think it's cool that they did something like this. Like, if you're going to use BRP dual wield, you should be utilizing the dual wield skill line. And we all know that the dual wield skill line isn't as powerful as the 2H skill line. It isn't as powerful as the bow skill line or anything like that. But this 10% bonus and 10% damage mitigation is so strong, it really does buff the dual wield skill line quite a bit, and it makes it a lot better. So your rending slashes is going to do more damage. You know, it's not going to do a ton because, I mean, it's rending slashes, but your steel tornado or whirling blades is going to do more damage. All these sorts of things kind of add up, and so if you use this as a front bar set, it's going to be, I don't know, as an in-your-face brawler, this is a very nice change, and I like it quite a bit. And a little off topic, you know, but we're going to go there. It's fun doing these gear sets reviews from my point of view, because like yesterday, I did the Masters Destro staff, and if you guys haven't checked that out and you want to go check it out, it's on my channel. But people were like, oh wow, this is going to make Magicka really powerful. Like now, like, why do they need this buff? You know, and then you see that stamina gets BRP dual wield, and it's 10% more damage, which, you know, as I've shown in the past, that 10% scales off your weapon damage, you know, your overall damage. So if you're running 2 weapon damage sets, this 10% can be 700. It can be effectively the same as like 700 plus weapon damage. That's what it can be. I'm not saying it will be, it's just, you know, how you build into it. So, you know, you see the Master's Inferno, and you're like, cool, they get 600 spell damage, and you see this, and you're like, okay, well, Stam just got a huge buff as well. That's why, like, when I talk about these videos and I say that there's a lot of moving parts, it's tough to know where everything's going to fit just by looking at stuff on paper, because you don't know what people are going to come up with, you know, like, BRP dual wield could very well, like, make an already powerful build even more powerful. I just can't see all of the options for it. You know, the same with Master's Inferno, the same with all these other gear set reviews I'm going to come out with. So when I talk about this stuff, I'm just saying, you know, in a vacuum, like looking at stamina. Stamina just got a nice damage buff that has to be, like, I can't just no longer... Let's remove the double negatives. I can no longer just stay on my back bar and pop vigor and major protection and, you know, just live infinitely because, you know, I'm a Stam class and I don't want to die, so I'm just going to, you know, do this. I can no longer do that. If I want to utilize this buff, I have to be in your face. I have to be within the range of this thing in order to get this bonus, and it only lasts for 2 seconds. And so if I switch bars, I lose that protection right away. So only on this bar, when it procs, do I get this buff. And so I really like the conditionality of it. I really think it's nice. I think it has some setbacks. Like I said, like, you know, if you're fighting 10 people, you can no longer just survive. You know, this is still a powerful skill, but if you want to utilize it to its fullest, you have to be in their face on this bar. And we know that, you know, your damage bar is not your buff bar. You know, if your buff bar has your heals and all these other sorts of things, and you no longer get that 10% protection when you're on that bar. So I like it. I'll have to test it some more just to see where exactly it aligns in the meta, but dude, it's a 2-piece damage set. It's a 2-piece damage set with the mythics coming out and the adjustments to monster sets. It's a really nice addition, and I think it's, especially on normal, like, in my opinion, the 2-piece stamina recovery, whatever. You'll still get for the perfected version, you don't really need. You can go farm it on normal with like 2 or 3 people, and you can see if you like the set. And if you enjoy it for your specific build, then maybe you go get some more serious PvE friends, and, you know, you learn a rotation, and then you go do vet BRP. You know, so I think for the investment, it's definitely worth going to get. You know, for theory crafting a build, I think like a brawler Stam Blade would utilize this really well. Any sort of like AoE group play build, you know, if you're running in like an organized ball group, like Donnie Spin to Win style builds, this is going to be really nice for, you know, those big burst moments, because you're gonna have 10% damage mit and 10% more damage done. You know, you pop Alchemist on the back bar, you go to the front bar, you hit Blade Cloak, and you go in with your combinations. I think that's going to be very effective. There are going to be some classes like let's be honest, dual wield skill line just isn't very good. The spammable isn't great. So classes that don't really have a good spammable, you may not be able to utilize it that well on your front bar, unless you like Cruel Flurry. Cruel Flurry does decent damage, but it feels a little clunky to me. Obviously, nothing's going to make Blood Craze good, so there's that. From a damage perspective, like the heal is nice, but from a damage perspective. So there are some potential options. It's not going to be automatically best in slot for everybody. So those are my initial thoughts on this set. I know that was pretty exhaustive. I normally try to make these a lot shorter, but this is an interesting set, and I wanted to show what it does and what it doesn't do, because it's completely different than what it used to do. And I think it's awesome. I really do think that they did such a great job with redesigning this set, and that's hard. You know, I was trying to figure out a way to make this set still cool and unique and powerful without ruining it, and they did it. I feel like they did it perfectly. So let me know what you guys think on your initial thoughts on this, and you know, if you're going to use this set. If you guys like these sorts of gear set reviews, I do these all the time. Every single PTS that drops, I do gear set reviews on interesting stuff for PvP. I try to go through the little testing on it to show if it's viable or not, if it's going to be effective, and all those sorts of things. We all know that PvPers do not like to do PvE stuff, and a lot of them don't have a ton of gold. And so me doing these tests on the PTS and showing you if it's worth the investment, I save you time and I save you money in game, so that you don't have to go out and invest and test something, because I've done that a lot. You know, I've spent hours farming a set to find out it's garbage, and then I'm like, oh crap, you know, I just wasted 6 to 8 hours of my day. These videos hopefully will stop you from wasting your time. So if you enjoy that sort of thing and you want to see other videos in the future, subscribe to the channel. I will constantly be doing this because this is stuff I do for my builds anyways. I enjoy doing it. Yeah, that's going to be the end of this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.